how do we do it? How do we earn our millions of points? The credit card issuers, the banks, they want your business. They make a lot of money off of credit cards, both because with your spend, they earn, a fee as part of that every transaction. When you don't pay off your balance in full each month, then they charge you all kinds of ridiculous amounts of interest. If you're late on a payment, they charge you late fees and so on. They're banking on the idea that they can make more off of you in the long run than they'll give you with a welcome bonus. So the game is to basically avoid all those fees I talked about and try to get a lot more from the banks than they get from you. And it's actually, if you're organized and know what you're doing, it's not hard to do. One thing that we hear from people all the time when we first tell people about this is they say, "Oh, but opening a bunch of credit cards is going to ruin my credit score."
Opening a lot of cards is not going to hurt your score on its own. A large segment of your credit score is your average age of account. Another large segment, of course, is your payment history. So as long as you're paying your bills on time, that part will be taken care of. But your average age of account is how long they've been open, and then your utilization ratio, which is how much of your available credit you're using. So having really old accounts, a high average age of account, is helpful, and also keeping your utilization low. So having a bunch of available credit that you're not using shows that you're not at risk of using it all up and running off to live on a tropical beach somewhere. As long as you keep your utilization low and your average age of accounts relatively respectable, then opening new cards is unlikely to hurt your score much. Now, when you first apply for a card, you lose a couple of points on your score because of the hard inquiry, but those points typically are made back up within 4, 5, 6 months, something like that. So they're not usually a long-term harm to your credit score. Now, if you're going to be buying a house soon, then you don't want to go on an application spree if you're looking for a mortgage soon. But if you're not in that situation, then opening new cards won't necessarily hurt you very much at all. In fact, as long as you have a couple of old credit cards, new credit cards have a pretty negligible effect on the credit score for the most part.
I looked at this closely when I first got into this game, and I looked at it again with some friends when they got into the game, and the pattern happened each time. I started and they started with very good credit scores, like let's call it like in the 770s, somewhere around there. Applied for a few cards, saw it dip a little bit. So now we're in 760 or maybe even 755, somewhere in that range. But then even just a few months later, we were up higher than we were in the beginning. So 800, 805, that kind of range. So what we're going to do now, we're going to talk about the overall process of signing up for cards and getting the bonuses and canceling cards and all that we're going to just talk about it at a very high level. Basically, the steps are this. You start off, you choose cards to sign up for. Then, if possible, you refer within your family or within your friend group to each other to get those cards. And basically, it's a way of getting both a welcome bonus and a referral bonus if it's possible to do that. You apply for those cards. If you are not approved, you call the bank for reconsideration, and you'd be surprised. You'd be shocked how often that actually works. You get the card, you meet whatever the spend requirements are for the welcome offer, and then you get all those points, whatever the welcome bonus is. Next year, you get a new annual fee. So at this point, what you do is you call the bank and say, "Oh, I think I want to cancel this card," to see if you could get a retention offer. We'll talk more about that. If not, and if you don't think the card is worth keeping with the annual fee, then you either downgrade it to a no-fee card, or you could cancel the card. That's basically the process in a nutshell. Travel Freely is a tool that can be used to help you kind of organize that whole process, remind you that your welcome bonus requirements are almost due. So don't forget to spend enough, remind you when the annual fee is coming due, that kind of thing. That's important. So it's easy process, but it does require some organization of the details. So how do you choose what cards you want?
The thing that you're probably going to want to start with, no matter what, where it is you want to go, is probably a transferable points card of some sort. Each of the major banks, Amex, Chase, Citi, Capital One, have a monopoly money currency of their own that can be transferred to different partners. So Amex has their Amex membership rewards points, or Chase has their Chase Ultimate Rewards points, for instance. And if you earn points on a card that earns those, if you earn those types of points, you can later transfer those to various airline frequent flyer miles. But each of the different banks has a slightly different set of transfer partners. There are some transfer partners that overlap between them. But having a transferable currency card is useful because then it allows you to cherry pick the best awards, because oftentimes there are multiple prices for the best awards depending on which program you book through. And so when you have access to a currency that can be transferred to many different airline programs, it gives you many different options when you're going to book an award. Now, out of those various transferable points currencies, is there one you should start with?
Yeah, well, I like for new people to start with Chase, and that has more to do with Chase's rules called 524, where if you signed up for 5 or more cards in the past 24 months, they don't like to preview for new cards. And so if you're going to get into this, signing up for lots of cards, I think it's a good idea to look at Chase's portfolio and say, which cards do I really want to have and to keep? That way, if you end up signing up for more than 4 in a 24-month period, you won't be locked out of getting those cards that you really want. We have a post called must-have Chase cards, where you can look at that and see, okay, here's what we recommend, like you should at least consider to get right away before it's too late to get those really good Chase cards. What I want to move on to the next important thing is, like, how do you find out which offers are out there and which ones are best? Within this sort of hobby overall, I think a lot of people will point you at Frequent Miler's best offers page. And the reason is that what we do is we keep a database of all the rewards credit cards that have good welcome offers. We only publish the offer that's best for you, even if it means that we lose out on earning a commission. So there are some credit cards where if you click through our link, we'll earn a commission if you're approved for that card. Those are called affiliate links. And so there are a number of them where we have affiliate links, but we don't show them on our website because we know of other public offers for the same cards that will get you more points. When we say best offers, we really mean it. These are the best public offers that we know about. And as soon as people tell us about others that we haven't found, we put them up there. So the Frequent Miler's best offers page, you have to look at that. So let's say you found the card, you see it on Frequent Miler's website, and don't go click it and apply right then. What you want to do is, if you're playing in 2-player mode, what I mean by that is, let's say you have a significant other, you may be able to get more points within your family by referring each other.
I should also mention with it that referral bonuses do get taxed. So if you earn enough points from referrals, you'll get a 1099 from the bank. So that's something worth keeping in mind anyway, that those points aren't totally free. Whereas the points you earn, the welcome bonus you earn when you open a new card and meet the minimum spending requirement, that it doesn't get taxed, and your ongoing rewards that you earn on your spend doesn't get taxed, but referral bonuses do.
I know we haven't mentioned this yet, but business cards ought to be on your radar. I think we did a whole show on that. So if you're hesitant about that, go check out our business card show, and why, even though you don't think you have a business, you probably do, and can apply for those, because that makes a big difference in how many cards you're eligible for. Then the process of applying, I mean, should be straightforward for most cards. If you're applying for business cards and you're not used to it, keep in mind, to keep things as simple as possible, when I ask you what type of business you have, let's say you're an aspiring writer, and so that's your business, you just pick sole proprietorship as your type of business, because there's no paperwork to file or anything to declare yourself as your business as a sole proprietorship. If you use your own name as the name of the business, that could avoid some complications as well. And then it'll ask you for your business tax ID. You could use your social security number.
What if you don't get approved? Then what?
So if you get denied, it's not over, not by a long shot. So on our best offers page, under every major bank, we list reconsideration numbers. Call this number if you're denied. And the idea is, you basically just say to the agent who answers, can you reconsider my application? And I remember the first time I did this years ago being like, there's no way this is going to work. Why? But the agent just asked me a few questions and was like, okay, you're approved. And it was like nothing. I couldn't believe it. And then other times, like I called and they said, "Oh, we can't allocate more credit to you because you already have, let's say, 4 cards with this bank open." Um, and then I would say, "Well, I don't need more credit. Can you move credit from one of my other cards in order to open this?" And then they say, "Oh, sure, we can do that." And boom, it's approved. And then you spend and earn the welcome bonus. So that's what you do if you're denied. So reconsideration calls won't always work, but
Right.
they should often work. So
Right.
it's definitely worth doing.
Yep.
All
Absolutely.
right. Next up, you have to meet the spend requirements, obviously, and that's such a big topic. We don't have time to dive into that, but we did a whole show on how to increase your credit card spend. Check that out. We have a post on manufacturing spend. Check that out. That'll give you a lot of ideas of how you can meet minimum spend requirements.
So if you look at some of the spending requirements out there and you say, "Oh, but I don't usually spend X amount of dollars in, X set of time," it's worth looking at those because there are ways to relatively easily meet spending requirements. A year from the time you were approved, you're going to get hit with that annual fee. Now, what do? Do you just pay the annual fee and go away, Greg?
Sometimes yes, because there are actually a lot of cards where they're worth more to you or should be worth more to you than the annual fee. And just for example, a bunch of hotel cards will give you a free night certificate each year in exchange for the 95-ish dollar annual fee. And if you use them at a hotel that would have cost you $200 or more, I mean, obviously you're coming out way ahead. I like to keep those and just pay the annual fee each year. And I keep them in a binder. I don't I don't usually even take any of these cards with me, but because they're attached to my loyalty account, I get the free night each year and I use it and do well. However, that said, there's lots of cards where I don't want to pay the annual fee or you're not going to want to pay the annual fee. You have some options. First of all, if you call the bank and say, "Hey, I think I want to cancel this card," you may, if you're lucky, get transferred to a retention department like agent who's going to try to retain your business. And the nice thing about, keeping it as opposed to canceling is like if you keep signing up and canceling right away each card with the same banks, eventually the bank's not going to want to approve you for more cards. So the more that you could keep and pay the annual fee, the better, even if keeping the card and paying the annual fee meant getting a retention bonus. That's still, I think, a plus for them. So, and it's plus for you because you got something in exchange for the second year annual fee. All right. So suppose though you don't get a retention offer at all, or you don't like any of the offers. What now?
Well, now obviously you could cancel the card, but you also want to consider your downgrade options.
A lot of issuers have very valuable no fee cards, and so this is a way of getting a big welcome bonus for a fee card and then later downgrade to a card that has no annual fee but has great earnings from spend. With Amex, the story's a little different, right?
There's a couple things to consider with Amex. Most Amex cards have what we call lifetime language. And what that means is in the application, sort of the terms of the application, it will say that the welcome offer, the intro bonus, is not available to you if you have or have had the card before. And so what that is essentially saying is that if you've ever had this card before, you can't get the welcome bonus on it. And so if you were considering downgrading your Amex card to a card that you had never had before. Let's say you have an Amex Platinum card that you got for a big splashy welcome offer, and you decide, okay, I want to downgrade that, so I'm going to downgrade it to an Amex Gold card. Well, if you've never had the Amex Gold card before, but you downgrade your Platinum to a Gold card, well, guess what? Now you have had a gold card before and you're not going to be eligible for a gold card welcome bonus in the future. That's unique to Amex. Other issuers don't have that sort of lifetime language. But on the flip side of things, Amex is fairly unique in that they pretty frequently, or at least sometimes, offer upgrade bonuses. So when you do all of those things, you can earn a lot of points because, each welcome offer can be significantly valuable. There's lots of offers these days. Definitely a
Absolutely.
great game to play. A lot of fun.